Hello and welcome to the New Food Hub. I'm Gemma Tadman, Business Communications Manager at ProVeg International. And today I'm talking with Frankie Fox, co-founder of Food Squared, an innovative food tech company working on the next generation of plant-based shellfish. So Frankie, why did Food Squared decide to kick off things with shrimp?
Oh, well, hello, and firstly, thank you for having me. So yes, shellfish and shrimp. So our innovative process is very good at replicating the texture of shellfish. And we decided to start with shrimp, actually farmed shrimp, because it is one of the least sustainable foods. It is the most polluting, uses the most water, fresh water, and I think it's second only to beef on its CO2 emissions. So we couldn't think of a better place to start.
Amazing. When the product was first being developed, what criteria and product qualities were really important to you?
Yeah, I think we looked at the first generation of plant-based and were thinking about a lot of the consumer feedback. I think texture, taste, price, clean label. So texture was absolutely key, we felt, because we don't use extrusion technology, which a lot of the plant-based meat uses. That is already where we started. To get that kind of unique texture hasn't really been available for plant protein. Most people who've tried to replicate the texture of shellfish have used starches such as konjac root, which gives a great texture, but it really, really lacks in protein. So it's not really health equivalent. So we decided to work on making a great shellfish texture with plant protein so we could keep the nutritional and protein levels up, but also have that great texture.
Who is your target market and why, and how will you ensure the product continues to appeal to them as consumer motivations change over time?
Absolutely. And I think the motivation for plant-based fish and shellfish is actually different from plant-based meat. So I think a lot of people shifted from meat for lots of different reasons. But I think one of the things, I think processed meat is not considered very healthy, whereas fish and shellfish are considered very healthy and nutritious. So that was something that we wanted to be really, really focused on. So our target market is a conscious consumer who would like to reduce or eliminate shellfish and fish from their diet, but also maintain the health and nutrition of eating shellfish and seafood. So it has to be somebody who, I think a lot of people have thought long and hard about things that they want to remove from their diets, but until there is something that's nutritionally equivalent, it's been very difficult to shift, I think, for seafood and shellfish, although they might have wanted to. There isn't really much option out there.
What are the main alternative seafood industry drivers at the moment for consumers?
So I think, I think shellfish and seafood are actually quite expensive. So we aim to be at least price parity or lower. So cost is something that I think is a driver. I think in these inflationary times, I think we would like it for people not to have to pay a premium to have an alternative. So that's really, really important for us. Health, nutrition is really important. Clean label, a few ingredients and all recognizable, and natural flavors and coloring, so people can feel like they're not having ultra processed food, because I think that's something that concerns people, especially about plant-based. I think there's a lot in the media. So trying to make it clean label, as nutritious and as affordable as possible.
Spinning that around then, what would you say are the biggest challenges and market barriers at the moment, and how can these challenges be overcome?
Yeah, I think that's a really, really good. I think the plant-based, plant-based has had a big bashing. I think from generation one, I think a lot of people were very curious, tried it, and I think maybe some people were disappointed. They felt it was expensive. It might not have been what they expected it to be. So I think having to fight against, I think everything is always getting better, and all the products are iterating and they're getting more nutritious, they're tasting better, they're getting more affordable. But I think, I think people may need to come and revisit plant-based. People who might have been put off, who might have been tempted and then felt they were too expensive. I think plant-based is going to have to work on flavour, texture, and cost to be able to really compete. So I think there's a lot of challenges there, but there's also a lot of opportunities. I think it is time for people to come back and try things, I think.
Are there any other industry white spaces that Food Squared would like to tackle?
Well, I think shellfish is a good, that's a really interesting one. I think shellfish is such a huge start. I think, certainly shrimp or prawns are the most consumed shellfish globally, and also not all shellfish is the same, and it's all consumed differently in different places. So there's a huge opportunity there. There is an opportunity because our process is very mild to collaborate maybe with other technologies. So there's an exciting white space there, enabling other technologies to come to market. So there's a lot of opportunity, not just in shellfish and seafood, but also I think texturally our process is really is interesting as well. The innovation there, so we can definitely collaborate.
How do we create more awareness around alternative seafood and its benefits, and generate better consumer awareness for the products?
Yes, actually, something that's really, really hit us is how little people know about farmed prawns. For a start, we were just blown away about how unsustainable they were on so many levels. As I said, like the pollution, the water use, and the CO2. But how little people understood this or knew about it. I think if a lot more people understood the impact of what they ate, especially in seafood and shellfish, if it had as much press and as PR as maybe as meat and beef in particular, I think people would probably be really surprised and be actively looking for alternatives. So we would be pushing on an open door. I think certainly the conscious consumers would be really interested in finding alternatives. They knew quite how unsustainable the incumbents were.
Yeah, absolutely. And I would say another major issue with the immature market at the moment is capacity and infrastructure. How can we tackle that challenge at this young stage? What needs to happen to ensure that there is the right infrastructure available for scaling up and increasing capacity and helping with that awareness?
Yes, interesting. I think in the UK, I think we're certainly looking for, when we started out, sort of smaller scale pilot facilities, co-manufacturing partners. I think here in the UK, I think we probably supporting sort of nascent industry on that journey, because I think it's hard. Food is hard anyway. And if you are having to introduce something incredibly new, you're having to work twice as hard, because you're not just all the same problems as any startup, but you're also starting up in an industry where you have to work twice as hard to convince the people to give you a chance to be on the shelf or be in food service. So I think Innovate UK has been really supportive of alternative proteins. I think more support is always welcome. I think support from some of the bigger retailers and food service. I think that they do have plant-based pledges, but maybe starting on taking smaller suppliers and sort of enabling that, giving them that little extra sort of helping hand would always be great, because it means that there's more options for the consumers.
What then are the benefits to businesses of moving away from traditional seafood industry and investing in alternative seafood products, or switching to producing alternative seafood products over conventional ones?
Well, it's interesting when you speak to people, there are a lot of different opinions. I think certainly, so sustainability, hands down. We import a lot of shellfish and seafood into the UK, so you've got the food security as well. it's shellfish and seafood allergies. That's another one. I think when we realised in the UK, you know, it may be not a major allergy, but in some geographies, it is a huge allergy. So that is a massive benefit. It's a benefit in any kitchen to have as, or you know, manufacturing plant to have as few allergies as possible. I think it's you know, you will have some fluctuation in prices with the ingredients, but you will have less fluctuation, because I think it is definitely a lot more resource you know, light to be plant-based than it is to have the sort of the seafood equivalent, because demand is going up and supply is unfortunately going down. So there's a massive gap between supply and demand, which plant-based can plug, and you know, it'll only get better the more support it has, the more innovation, the support for the innovation, the more money that goes into the innovation, the products will get better, and the consumer will have a much better experience and have a lot more options.
What next for alt seafood? What are your predictions for the category?
Wow, and I think this is a really exciting category, because I think if you look at meat, you know, you've got your basic meat products. There's a lot of different beef products, you know, that I guess, you know, you've got beef, pork, chicken, lamb, but you look at seafood and shellfish, there are hundreds of different products that people can choose. So there's a lot more options out there. And I think that it is really exciting, because it is such a white space. And I think people are only scratching the surface on the sustainability and the innovation there. So I think that this is a wide open space. There can be a lot of players. I really don't think, I think we should all be you know, supporting each other, because I think that it's a massive category with a huge opportunity. And as I say, high tide floats all boats. So, you know, the more innovation, the more we can support innovation, the better. You know, the awareness there is out there, the bigger the opportunity. I think, unlike, you know, I think there seems to be a lot more opportunity for people to innovate next to each other.
Absolutely. And continuing that then, what next for Food Squared?
Well, I think shellfish it's certainly going to be where we're going to start. We're going to have prawns, and then we can innovate and to other shellfish products, and then maybe more complex seafood products, maybe with collaborations. I mean, there's a lot of opportunity, and there's a lot of geographies, because I think the way people consume seafood in different geographies is different. So we can adapt our process to different geographies. So we're definitely looking outwards and would like to speak to as many people as possible. So it's really exciting.
Amazing. And finally, what is your favourite plant-based seafood dish, perhaps containing your own product?
Oh, that's really good. Do you know what? It's a Malabar curry. And with our prawns, it's just absolutely awesome. I like curries anyway. It's but that one's really, really delicious. And actually, it had some great dumplings. So I can go on. I love food. So and the NPD and the tasting is probably the best bit about the job.
Oh, I'm sold. I'll join.
Brilliant. Well, you have to come around. We'll do a big cook up at Mission Kitchen in London.
Thank you so much for chatting with me today, Frankie.
Oh, thank you so much, and thanks for the opportunity. Have a great day.
Thank you.